Well, it's not every week that I get to interview an expert, but I got to tell you, this week's guest, man, does she know a lot. I am so happy to introduce you to Margaret Ann Lembo. She's the owner of the Crystal Garden in Florida, the Conscious Living Store and Center, which is located in Palm Beach in the southeast section of Florida, and she opened that store in 1988. For over 30 years, she's led workshops and classes around the country and Canada. Margaret Ann is a highly renowned expert for her dedication to helping people focus on mindfulness and positive thought. She's written 8 books, 5 affirmation oracle decks, and 9 spoken audio programs. You can visit her on her website, margaretannlembo.com. She's the creator of a line of award-winning aroma energetic sprays, including Smudge and Spray, which I love. I bought the Palo Santo. I love it. And the 7 chakra sprays. She's an author, a spiritual entrepreneur, a practitioner, and an aromatherapist. And her store is thecrystalgarden.com. We can go in and shop online. I've ordered lots of crystals from this lady, and they are wonderful. Margaret Ann, thank you, girl. You are so busy, and I so appreciate you taking time to get on the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Well, I have to be honest, you have written one of my favorite books, and I use it as like a reference Bible. I love it so much, I packed it up and already shipped it to California, so I know it would be there safe and sound with my reference books. And that book is Chakra Awakening, Transform Your Reality Using Crystals, Color, Aromatherapy, and the Power of Positive Thinking. And ladies, if you don't have a copy of this, you've got to go get it. It has everything in it that you would want to know.
Wow, thank you. That's awfully nice of you. Let's see. I have a demo copy right here. It's been out since 2011. So yeah. I'm happy. This is my first book.
Well, you've got, I know, more books coming this year, another oracle deck. I don't know how you have time to do all this. And that book, for someone like myself who loves chakra work, it's like a Bible. I mean, it just had so much content in it. I was like over the moon reading it.
Wow.
So I need to know, how did you get started on this path of crystals and oils and angels and positive thinking? I mean, it's vast what you do.
Well, I love to tell this story, and I was blessed as a young girl to have this information shared with me as really young. I would say 6 to 8 years old was the beginning of the power of positive thought teachings. My family in general are all positive thinkers. They're happy people, and so that's a very good thing. But I also had a mentor in my life that introduced me to the world of the magic of believing through a book called The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. Plus, he also introduced me to the idea of metaphysics. So that started at a very young age, and even earlier than that, I was introduced to the angelic realm because I grew up with angels. I was believed that my own brother was an angel because he had passed away before I was born. And so for me, I was related to an angel. And plus, I was brought up in Catholicism, and so it was very normal to make room on your chair to let your guardian angel sit on your side and be with you all the time. And so as life moved on, life changed, and I still kept all those belief systems. I continued to use the power of positive thought. Even when I was a mortgage banker, I would share the information with my own staff members. And then the crystal part I can share quickly, which is about 1985, around there. I had some, I was still a mortgage banker then, I had some friends of mine that were going to start getting rocks in Arkansas. And they asked me if I wanted to be a silent partner. Well, if you know anything about me, there's nothing silent about Margaret Ann, right? And so I was blessed to start, be part of this very small business. And we started getting rocks from Arkansas, going on crystal trips and such. And uh, started almost like remember Tupperware parties where you go to people's homes with the goods? We did it that way in people's living room.
Love it.
Isn't that
Why don't more
wild?
people do it now? I would go to a crystal party in a heartbeat.
It's actually a fun idea. It really is. And then it evolved, like the stock market crashed in 1987, and I was in senior management and banking at that time. And so I had to recreate myself at that point. I didn't know, I had to do something other than be a banker. I could have gone back into the industry, but it would have taken a long time. So I opened my store, the Crystal Garden. In the meantime, I'm sitting here in my angel room at the Crystal Garden. And from that, it just continued to evolve, and this is what I'm meant to be. I'm supposed to be doing this.
So you started with angels, and then you got into the crystals, and then you incorporated oils into all of this.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the oil part. Yes. So when I was a mortgage banker, there was a little kiosk in the center, like a mall in nearby in Boca, and that company is still around. They still exist. But I learned from them early on. That was early '80s, and I started purchasing essential oils and reading and getting familiar. And then I started carrying essential oils at my store. And you get to know essential oils kind of like I get to know plants. I have a very strong affinity for gardening, which is also why the name of my store is the Crystal Garden, named after, in a way, the secret garden, which is the gardening of your soul. And so as time went on, I got to know my essential oils. I trained with a naturopathic physician to be certified as an aromatherapist. And I started, getting divinely inspired for blends and to create. My first blend really was Euphoria, I think it was. No, it was Anti-M's anti-disinfecting oil, which I made for a friend of mine who couldn't kick a respiratory challenge. And so I concocted something, and that one I did based on, aromatherapy knowledge. But future blends, I really just got so lucky. And the angels, I feel like it's the angels, who knows, but the angelic realm or the guides of the aromatherapy world give me ideas on what blends to create. And I write it down right away. I go into my office, put them together, and before you know it, I have such a very pretty large line of aromatherapy products that are sold worldwide now.
Wonderful. So how did you connect the chakras to the crystals with the oils, with color and everything to create this incredible book and the work that you do and the workshops that you do? And for the audience, Margaret's on Facebook. She's got a book club that goes live every week. She's got crystal shows going on, all kinds of activities. I'm always in and out watching. I love it. How did you connect all of that and put it all together to do the teachings you do?
As I was writing Chakra Awakening, more and more information was being revealed to me. And it became clear that a gemstone has a vibration. It has a color first. It has a color that's associated with the chakra system. So let's say a gemstone, here's an easy one. So amethyst, or even rose quartz, any of the quartz family. So they have a color associated, and that color has a meaning, because I also worked with color therapy while I was a banker too. I used to teach that to my staff too back then, because color has a vibration. So if you understand the vibration of colors in relation to the chakras as well, then it makes sense then what gemstone matches. So if you're working with the color purple, then amethyst, pink, rose quartz. And you don't always have to know the rock but more the vibration of the color and potentially the information about the chakra. So if you're saying amethyst, which has to do with intuition and higher knowledge and connecting with the divine, then that's some information, right? Yep, the third eye center, the crown center, you know. And then there's also the idea of that it's very good. Amethyst is great for transforming and transmuting challenges. And so that also vibrates similar to Saint Germain and the Violent Flame. And so that has to do with alchemy. And so then you keep going, and then you say, okay, well, what essential oil blends might work for helping to shift people's consciousness? And then from there, create a formula that would help. And I do have a Saint Germain spray. I have, you know, things that I actually created sprays because of the realization that have gemstone tinctures inside of them as well.
Amazing. I mean, I was just so impressed
Aw,
by the amount of information in that book. I was like, how does this lady connect all of this? And the way you teach it in the book and lay it out, I mean, it's so organized and so informative.
thank you.
So for someone starting out who's pretty clueless about chakras, oils, crystals, how would you get them started? What would be the best way to get started?
Well, if you are talking about like if you wanted to start like a collection of stones, or are you
Well,
just
a
talking?
collection and some oils and maybe doing some energy work for themselves and
Mhm.
just understanding. How would you get them started in that process? Because
I
there's got
would.
to be a beginner point for everyone.
There is, you know, like I find a lot of value in meditation, and people go, oh, meditation, I can't meditate. You know, a lot of people have that reaction, and so that's why I offer the meditations often on Facebook. But being even to be quiet and contemplative, that's a start. You know, it's just to stop, let everything get integrated into your consciousness, because so much happens in one given day. Then if you want, I recommend maybe just one stone for each chakra. That's a nice way to start. You know, you could get a, let's say, a red jasper at the root chakra, or a black tourmaline. You could, so that's red energy. And then your orange, you could get the at the navel or sacral chakra, a carnelian. Solar plexus, you could get a citrine, which is a yellow quartz. At the heart center, green aventurine or pink tourmaline, because that's a green or pink vibration. The throat center, turquoise, like the color behind me and the shirt I'm wearing. So even a turquoise stone or a turquoise colored stone. And at the third eye, a maybe a lapis lazuli or an amethyst that I already mentioned.
Mhm.
And at the crown center, you could use clear quartz. And clear quartz, if you wanted to get just one rock, maybe just get a clear quartz, because that carries the full spectrum of light as well. So that's very beneficial to do it that way.
On the clear quartz, there's different shapes for quartz. And there's a single pointed end, double pointed end. So does that make a huge difference for someone starting out what they pick?
I don't think so. I think that they could just get a quartz point, or
Hmm.
if they find a cluster, but it could be a good start. Just a crystal point is fine, and you can find them very inexpensively too. You don't have to spend a lot of money, and that does carry the full spectrum of light, and they're very easily programmable with love and well-being. You know, that's what, if you are programming something, I would suggest love and well-being.
So now you've brought up another topic. How do you program a stone?
Well, you know, I was fortunate enough to meet with Marcel Vogel many years ago, who was, you've heard of him?
Oh, yes.
Senior research scientist with IBM for many years. And he's well known for liquid crystal display and phosphorescent paint and so much more, so much more. But to go on, he's the one that brought to my awareness that one of the easiest ways to clear and program your crystals is with your breath and your intention. So if you form an intention of clearing and hold the gemstone on the inhalation, you form the intent, and then when you exhale forcefully through your nose, you can like pulsed breath is what he calls it.
Mhm.
Pulse your breath and insert that energy, intend that energy into the gemstone, which is very important for me to bring up intention, because people are like, well, how does this crystal work? Why does the crystal do this? It's like, no, the crystal is not some magical creature. I mean, it's a lovely thing. It's a beautiful thing. I love gemstones, obviously, but it's our intention that's really creating our reality. And then the gemstone is helping us to stay mindful and put our attention on what we do want, not what we don't want. And that's the key to almost anything, is to be able to imagine and visualize our reality as we want it to be.
And can we use crystals and oils to help with that manifestation process? Because,
So much.
everything is law of attraction. And so can
Yes.
you use the stones and oils for that process?
Yes, and I've written multiple books. The pile is right next to me right here. But so if you wanted to look it up, you could go to like the Essential Guide to Aromatherapy and Vibrational Healing, which is another title of mine,
Mhm.
or even the Essential Guide to Crystals, Minerals, and Stones. I'm not sure if I put the aromatherapy in that one, but there is always a list of matching gemstones available in almost all of my books to help you, gemstones and aromatherapy, use them in conjunction with each other. So you're using your olfactory senses,
Mhm.
as well as your visual, the sight, as well as your mind, the intention, maybe adding the emotion that goes with it, to imagine and therefore create your reality. It is all those things combined together keep you focused on what it is that you're trying to create. Because if you don't stay focused on what you want and you're using up all your energy on all these other things, then no, it's not going to happen.
Do you recommend like a daily practice of maybe working with oils and crystals as part of somebody's spiritual practice? I mean, I've been meditating for 30 years. It's really the foundation of my morning and my spiritual practice. And I'm not 100% disciplined. There are days where I I don't get to it, but most of the time I do, because it just puts me in the right place.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so soothing, and I get so much clarity and wisdom when I meditate. I get downloads of information that's just so helpful. Uh, I have crystals all around me and oils. I'm always using rollers. I love several of your sprays that I have. So, what would be a good way to incorporate some stones and some oils into, say, a morning practice?
Okay, so let's say you have a collection of stones, or just a few, but if you want, and you have an essential oil or two or a spray. So just like you mentioned, it sounds like you're doing exactly what I'm going to recommend, which is, you can establish an intention. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to get contemplative. I'm going to meditate for a few moments here. Even 5 to 10 minutes is amazingly productive for refocusing and bringing balance into our lives. Sometimes people consider, oh, I have to sit in meditation for 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. Well, if you can do that, and if you have the time, then blessed, good, do it. But maybe 5 or 10 minutes is all that's available to you or anybody who's watching this. So take that few moments. I would probably grab like my smudge and spray and give myself a little 1, 2.
Mm. And you use that for like clearing your space, a smudge and spray.
You
A
can
lot of
clear
people
your
don't know what
space.
smudging is, but yeah, to clear space. Yep.
And it's like this way you're not having to burn anything. You could do this in a hotel room. But
Yes.
the idea behind that is that, so now you've incorporated the olfactory senses and you've taken action to clear the energy. I'm clearing away what is no longer for my highest good. And this particular spray is to replace that energy with love and well-being, because there's holy water in there too. And then from there, taking some deep breaths, following, I find it extremely effective, as you probably well know, is to just start by observing the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. and just keep focusing on observing your body, breathing in and breathing out. And that helps tremendously to shift your energy. Now, I probably, because of the way I do things, I would probably use like one of my decks of cards and pull a card for the day.
Yeah, I'm
So I
glad
have,
you mentioned your cards because you've got several decks, and I wanted to talk about those as well.
yeah. So let's say here, I just pulled a soda light. So maybe life hasn't been that great. I'm just making this up. And so the one side of the card shows the gemstone. So that will help me, give me something to focus on. I could put it in front of me and lean it there while I'm doing meditation. And when I open my eyes, I could look at that and it's like, no, all is well. And I can read the affirmation. I sail through life on calm, nurturing waters. I'm at peace with myself and the world around me. So even establishing a statement, you could even take this and bring it with you for the day. Or if you have soda light, put it in your pocket, put it in your bra, put it in your pillowcase when you're going to sleep at night, right? And then the other side, because all my decks are two-sided, I figure more information is better. And so the other side is intention. Release anger, increase harmony, reduce inflammation, improve inner knowing and calm. And you could breathe on each one of these and focus on each one of these and increase mental clarity and emotional balance. So with these statements, you can pause and think about each one of these and how that relates to your life. And usually when you pull a card, at least for my decks, I'm sure it happens with everybody's decks, I believe, they're just so right on in the moment. It's like, so I've been having some physical inflammation lately. And so this applies to me, even though I'm doing an interview in this moment, it still applies to what I need right now in my life. Not so much, thank goodness I'm not angry.
And
But
that deck of cards, so you have the crystal and the affirmation on one side, and then it sounds like you have all the things that crystal can do, the benefits of working with that crystal on the other side.
Essentially, yes, a short version of that, because it goes in much greater detail in the Essential Guide to Crystals, Minerals, and Stones, but it's the Crystal Intention Oracle. But I have others that are based on angels and archangels and masters, mystics, and saints and animals.
How did you learn about, say, animals and the mystics and the saints? How did you pull all this in?
Okay, so I'll answer the mystics and saints first. So I grew up Catholic, so I
did too.
Did you?
I didn't get that knowledge, girl. I'm going to be right up front.
Well, I don't have it memorized. I look things up, I love Google. But I had a lot of experiences of sitting in church on many days where I'd contemplate the pictures on the walls and the Stations of the Cross and the murals in my particular church was fantastic. They were beautiful. And I remember they even had a mural of Saint Margaret that I'm named after because of her affinity with the Sacred Heart. She started the devotion to the Sacred Heart. And it, so it shows her having an apparition of Jesus the Christ, it's just beautiful. So it impacted me in a very spiritual way. Some people didn't have a great Catholic experience. I was blessed that I did, thank you very much. And so the bits and pieces of the different saints I captured during the days that I was growing up. I had 12 years of Catholic school, so that's a long time in Catholic school. And then the animal part, now that was because when I got into creating the Crystal Garden, I was so interested, and still am, in Native American spirituality. And I did a lot of studying, and I enjoyed immensely the medicine cards by Jamie Sams and the Sacred Path cards by her, and even so blessed to have met Ted Andrews. And I don't know if you noticed, but I dedicated my first book to Ted.
Wow, I have a little book about animal totems of his.
Yes.
The pocket guide.
The pocket guide, yes. And so over the years, he came here in person to the Crystal Garden, and I also met with him right before I was getting my book published, and he introduced me to my first publisher, Llewellyn Worldwide. So anyway, he taught me a lot about animals through his books, Animal Speak, Animal Wise. And so then I realized everything has, I always say this when I teach a class, I almost always bring it up during interviews like this. Everything is energy. Everything has a vibration. And if everything has energy and everything has a vibration, then there's going to be matching vibrations. So pick a card, any card. Dolphin. Perfect. We'll pick this one. So dolphin, brucite. It looks like the ocean.
Ah,
You know, sometimes it looks like let's do another one just for the fun of it. Stromatolite. That's pretty wild, right? Can you
right.
see that gemstone? Earthworm.
Ooh, almost the same color.
And also that stromatolite is like it's like a it does look like there are earthworms creating, you know, pathways, right? But this also has to do about unearthing, and there's some ancient fossils included within stromatolite, which helps us to go underground into our subconscious to understanding ourselves. So there's always a correlation in that regard. Until, you know, when I wrote my book, The Essential Guide to Crystals, Minerals, and Stones, I didn't want to copy what other authors had written about crystals. So I stopped reading a long time ago other people's work because I don't want to accidentally plagiarize something. You know, I want it to be coming through me. But I did research on a geology from a geological level. It's like, well, if this has calcium in it, then this could potentially be beneficial for the bone structure of a human being. Or, you know, or if this has a combination of all these different minerals, then I'd look up what the minerals were good for and then see how that gemstone relates to the chakra system, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It just makes sense. It takes a little research. I mean, I did research things. It's
Yes,
not like everything didn't just, I wasn't blessed to have all the things downloaded,
right.
especially with the animals. The animals took a lot of research. And while right before we connected, I was actually sitting here reading my own book, going, "Wow, I wrote this so fast. I don't remember some of the stuff that I wrote in this one."
Wow. Oh, it's just, I think you have more product, books, store, cards, oils out there than anybody else I think I've ever interviewed. It's just massive. And
Oh,
you're
really?
so wonderful. And to do business with you is a sheer pleasure. You know,
Oh, good. Thank
ordering
you.
my crystals, I had some special ones I wanted after reading your book. I made a little list and I ordered them. And I got the Palo Santo
Thank you.
spray, and it was, oh, it's heavenly. Because
That is good
sometimes
stuff, that Palo Santo. It's really high quality.
you can't burn something sometimes where you are.
You
You know,
can't.
you're on the move, you're traveling. You don't want to be burning something in a hotel or somebody's house. So that spray, I love it. Just, oh, it's wonderful.
Good.
Margaret, you have, Margaret Ann, excuse me, you have a lovely free offer on your website for the audience. Why don't you tell them about it?
Well, you know, I've been contemplating which of my meditation CDs do I want to gift everyone. And I think the one that is going to be applicable is the color meditation, align your chakras. And so it's my very first CD that I created, and it's in MP3 format so that you can just download it right into your computer or your phone. And what it is a about 20 minutes worth of meditation to balance and align your chakras using the colors of the rainbow. And it's very helpful. A lot of people have gotten great benefit from it.
Wonderful. I am so happy that we finally got to do this because you were busy, then caught up with some things. And so this has just been a sheer joy to have you on today.
Well,
I
thank
can't
you
thank
so
you enough.
much. Thank you so much.
And I look forward to, was it Mondays that you're normally on with your book club? Is it Mondays?
Yes, lately I've been doing it every other Monday. So at 12 noon Eastern time,
Mhm.
we're doing the meditation. So when you move to California, that's 9 a.m., right? You're
I
gonna have a big
know.
time change.
Yes.
And then I do a gemstone oracle. That's what I've been doing, which is so much fun at 1 o'clock Eastern time, where I do use all 5 decks and pull the cards.
Yeah, I know. I've watched that a couple of times. It's been terrific. Well,
Good.
thank you again, Margaret Ann. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and you're just such a talented, talented woman.
Well, you're very complimentary. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.